Welcome back to Everything Property Podcast. Joining us today is the number one principal in the Ray White Network internationally. He's been rated number one agent Australia-wide via Rate My Agent for 4 years. He's number one principal internationally. He's number one on settled commission. He's number one principal internationally on numbers of sales. He has enough. He's the winner of enough Agent of the Years, Australia's number one agent, Chairman Elite, City Principals, and all those sorts of awards that I could probably make a podcast on just his achievements, all whilst still so young. Josh Tesolin, welcome to the Everything Property Podcast.
I appreciate that, man. Humbling intro.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Well,
Pleasure.
mate, humble beginnings too, because you weren't always, as we were talking about offline, you weren't always riding the ridiculous amounts that you are these days. So I got to ask, man, was Josh Tesolin always wanting to be a real estate agent?
Man, you know what? Josh Tesolin's always been Josh Tesolin. I've never changed, man. Regardless of the millions of dollars or having nothing in my bank account, like I've always stayed the same person. So yeah, what was Josh Tesolin like when he was younger? Did he want to be a real estate agent? Not really. It was never like I was like a young kid and I was thinking to myself, yeah, I want to be an agent. I knew I was not someone who wanted to sit behind a desk every day, and I knew that I was not someone that wanted to do a 9 to 5, and I knew that I was sort of very extroverted, and I was, a little bit out there. And I think real estate and sales, like I've always been in sales all my life. Like my parents, man, like when I was growing up, they were selling furniture all my life. So I grew up, I had 2 older sisters, but they were sort of, they used to study, and one of them was older and used to go out a lot. So me, I was just with my parents. Like they used to own, do you know the chain Fantastic Furniture?
Yep.
They used to own a couple of shops.
Okay.
So I grew up every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'd go to work with my parents. And I wouldn't sell anything. I'd just sit on the couch, play on my phone. But when you come home every night, and that's all they talk about, how many they sold today. I do the deliveries with my dad. I'd hear my mum and dad, like they worked together all my life. So, and it's funny, I now work with my wife in my business, and my mum now works in my business. So the family aspect is still there. They were selling furniture, I'm selling houses.
How do you make the transition between the two? So obviously you've got exposure then to just not even probably knowing it's subliminally like the sales, data, numbers. Mm-hmm. How did you make the transition into property real estate?
Man, honestly, it was, so I went to university. This would have been, I was 17 right out of school, Western Sydney University. And I love sports, man. Like I love all sports, UFC, boxing, rugby league, you name it, I'm into it. And basically one day, my mum sat down and she's like, you've got to go to university, ethnic way. And then I applied for Western Sydney University, got in, went to the Campbelltown campus. I was studying sport management. Sport management, man. I was thinking, you know what, if I could work for like a team, or I could work for like the Wanderers, I could work for someone in the NRL, that would be pretty cool. Passion for sport, get to do that every day. And then about a week in, the lecturer stood out the front. And she said, look, guys, sport management's a great course, but if you're looking to make money, it's not in sport management. I fucking walked out that day. Like I was like, man, this ain't for me, man. Like I want to do something I like, but also I want to be paid at the same time. So yeah, man, walked out that day, and then basically sat down with mum again. And me and my mum are super close. I'm the only boy in the family, and she would have kept having kids until she had a boy. That's just what she wanted. Then she had me, and that was it. So 2 older sisters and me. And man, she printed out the Tafe list, and she goes, let's pick one. And I go, I'm not a tradesperson. I'm not going to do electrical. I'm not a plumber. I don't like, I'm not going to become a painter. I didn't want to become a massage therapist. That was on there as well. And then real estate was sort of the last thing, man. Real estate was the last
process
thing.
of elimination.
Yeah, and then I went to 2 campuses. I went to the St. George campus, and then it just looked a bit dodgy. Like I was walking through, and then it was like I just didn't feel good. And I was like, Mum, I don't really want to go to this campus. And then she goes, all right, let's go to the Bankstown campus, probably even more dodgier. And then I saw a mate that I knew from years ago, and he was like, oh, you're going to start studying here. And I was like, yeah, man, like, you know what? I'm going to give real estate a crack. And then when mum called up, she's like, I want to enroll my son. She did everything for me. That's ethnic mum. That's what they do.
Yeah, of
course.
Cook
for you, do everything for you. I'm super blessed. And then, man, she called up the head lecturer. His name was Peter Roberts at the time. And she goes, hello, Mr. Roberts. She goes, I want to get my son into your course. Where does he enroll? And he goes, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Tesolin. The course is full. And then my mum goes, it's a typical salesperson. Can't be full. What are you talking about? Like, there's got to be one more seat for my son. And he goes, unfortunately, like, the enrollments are finished and the course is full. And my mum goes, my son's happy to sit on the ground. Like, it doesn't matter where he sits. Like, you just got to get my son into the course.
Yeah.
And then
the sales.
My mum was just not giving up. They give you one push back, she comes back.
Yeah.
And then he goes, I'm sorry, we're full. And my mum goes, no, you're not full. My son really wants to do this course, and if you'll take him, he'll sit at the back, the front, the floor. You got to accept my son. He's something special. And then Peter was like, he paused for a bit apparently, and then he goes, you know what, Annette, really admire your persistence. I've been doing this for 30 years, and this is actually my last term teaching this course. He goes, so you know what, we'll let him in, one more person in. And that was how I got in.
Wow.
My mum just kept pushing until they gave me a seat.
Who would have known?
Man, he goes, you know what, admire your persistence, Mrs. Tesolin. We'll give him a seat. And that was it. I did it full time for 6 months at Bankstown Tafe. And man, rest is history.
Rest is history. Talk to me about early days, first
Yep.
gigs. How did you find your feet in the real estate game?
Tough, man. Like many young agents probably find it tough. I probably went for about 10 interviews. Didn't get one of them. Like, I was extremely skinny, maybe 50 kilos, no beard, and people just weren't taking me seriously. Like, the first question I was getting asked is, how much experience do you have? And I said, well, I'm 17 years old. I just finished the TAFE course. And they go, well, no experience. I said, mate, no experience. I said, I'll do anything. I'll do reception, letterbox drops. I said, mate, I'll do open homes. I'll put some corner signs out, whatever you want, the core flus, whatever. And they go, nah, we need experience, mate. And I remember once, look, and this is not to talk bad on this office, but it was an office in the inner west. And I went for this interview, and they called me back 2 times. Second interview, third interview was for property management. And I'm thinking, man, like, I'm closer than ever to getting this job. And then they go, look, Josh, I'm going to be honest. It's between you, either someone that's new and, no experience, or someone that's been in the industry 20 years. We're not sure. Yeah, they go, we're not sure who to choose. And I said, well, I think you should choose me. I'm new blood. I'm energetic. I'll learn everything. I'll work 7 days if I need. And this was for property management, man. And I was ready to give it all. And they go, we'll let you know. And they never got back to me for 6 months. And I didn't wait. I got another job in the meantime. Yep. And then I remember getting a letter from, sorry, you've been unsuccessful. And this was 6 months later. And I was like, man, what poor service. Like, if you're not going to let someone or give them a job or give them an opportunity, just let them know. Like, I just wanted to know. It was either a yes or a no. And I think that's sales. We're always seeking a yes or a no. Are we going to get the listing? We're not. You're going to buy the house? Are you not? A story has it. I'm from the Shire. I grew up around sort of Cronulla, Menai, Alfred's Point, Shire boy at heart. And then randomly, I'd given up after 10 interviews of getting knocked back or not even hearing if I've got the job after 3 interviews. And then my mum just said, I'm just going to keep applying on Seek.
Your mum's doing the application?
Of course, bro.
Oh,
she goes, I'm just going to keep applying on Seek. And I was getting no calls. And every day I'd go into my mum's furniture shop and my dad's, and they'd go, applied for another couple of jobs. You had any calls? I said, no calls, mum. I've had nothing. And then one day I'm in the gym. I had a home gym. And then I'm, mid-session, doing whatever. And then I get a call. And I used to never get phone calls because, I had no job and whatever. My mates used to message me on the social media apps. And then, got a call from a lady. And she goes, hello. And I said, hi. She goes, am I speaking to Josh? And I said, yes. And she goes, you've applied for this job in real estate. And I go, yep. And she goes, it's in Quakers Hill. Do you know where that is? And I said, yeah. I did not have any fucking idea. Because Quakers Hill, compared to the Shire's a fishbowl. Like, when you're in the Shire, you don't leave the Shire, man.
Exactly.
That's all you know.
Yep.
Like, you don't go to the city. You just go to Cronulla or you go around there. Yep. And she goes, we'd love for you to come in for an interview tomorrow. I said, yeah, great. I'll be there. Now, I had no idea how to get to Quakers Hill. So me and my mum, that night that I got the call for the interview, went for a drive to Quakers Hill to see how far it was so I wasn't late for the interview. Me and mum get lost about 4 times. This is before maps and shit. And the next morning went in and then sat in there with a boutique agency. So boutique meaning not a brand. Mm-hmm. They only had 1 or 2 offices and they maybe sold about 50 to 60 houses per year. Not really doing, crazy numbers.
Yep. And
man, on the spot, they go, you know what? We like your energy. Happy to give you a job right now. Will you take it? You start tomorrow. I'm like, absolutely. And then all of a sudden I had a gig.
You remember what you were earning back then?
Man, base salary for leasing a property maybe.
You were a leasing agent?
I was leasing, man. Yep, leasing, horrible and I did property management for I think 2 years. Really, really bad at the maintenance side. Never tracked maintenance. It's funny, I've got a property management team now of like 1,200 managements or 1,300, and they're great at it. And they always laugh at me and they're like, "You could never do what I do." And I go, "Exactly, I couldn't." But I was great at leasing because leasing's like selling. You know, mate, you're advertising a property and, mate, you want to get tenants in, you get the app approved and you get them in leased in a week. So I was great at leasing. And then the sales associate for the office at the time that I was working at, he ended up relocating to the city and there was a gig available. And I wasn't doing really well in the property management side of things. You know, maintenance was shit, never recorded anything. I was really, really poor.
At least you're honest.
I was bad, man. I'm not a good PM, but I was absolutely fucking fantastic at leasing, which was the selling. Of the property management department. So, yeah, man, I got a gig in sales as an associate, did that for 2 years, and then went out on my own as an agent.
What was the breakthrough moment in those early couple of years?
Breakthrough moment, I had a duplex. I spoke about it on podcasts many years ago, but it was a duplex in Quakers. And I'm always a firm believer that it starts with one. Like, a lot of people think, I need to have 10 listings. I need to have 100 listings. No, man, you just need one. One fucking
What's
good
the story?
5B Ohio Place in Quakers Hill. It was a duplex. They called into the office at the time, and the principal of the office, who was the other sales agent, he was away. I think it was like a Thursday, and he was playing tennis or had an injury or some shit. And they called the office and said, we want an appraisal. And it was this lovely English lady called Teresa, and her husband's name was David McDonald. And I went for the appraisal, and it was a beautiful duplex. And at the time, it was probably worth between $650,000 and $700,000. And the record,
wow,
this is
so
way
cheap.
Oh,
yeah.
mate, but at the time,
okay.
things were selling for $550,000, $600,000. Anyway, I go to the appraisal, and I went with one of my associates at the time, one of the associates at the office, to come help me out. We go in the appraisal, and I'm wearing my best shoes, my fancy socks, mate, tie on. And I remember sitting in this appraisal thinking to myself, A, I need fucking listings, and B, I've got to close this deal. Like, I need this. I need to prove to myself I can get this after losing so many listings and getting knocked back and people saying you're inexperienced, Josh has never sold a house. So I'm in this living room, and I'm absolutely giving it my all. I'm showing them why they need to sell with me, energy, enthusiasm. I'm giving everything I've got, right? And then they go, we'll let you know. And I go, well, Teresa, respectfully, I said, I've decided that I want to work with you. And I know that I'm maybe not the most experienced, but I'm the most hungry. And I know that I might not have sold 5,000 houses like other agents in the industry for 40 years. This is probably going to be one of my first sales. I need this, and I'm going to work my absolute ass off to get you the best result. And then she goes away with her husband, David, and they come back and they go, you know what? We love your persistence. We had 2 other agents coming out. We're going to cancel them. We're going with you. I thought, great, right? Getting this house prepared for sale. I'll never forget. I was like, I've got to make this the best looking house ever. She was an elderly lady. She couldn't go underneath the stairs to paint something underneath. She had storage. I remember I went there on my day off, mate, wore casual clothes, painted her whole staircase. I was underneath, moving boxes for her. I wanted this house to be schmick. Day 1 of the open home, 5 days later after listing it, I sell it unconditionally for $785,000. I break the record for a duplex.
Wow.
Ever. Guy comes in, really nice guy. They're still in the property. Aussie couple. They fell in love with the house. We had really good urgency. They signed the contract that day. And that was the one sale that I set the suburb record for a duplex. And then the next day I had a phone call. It was from a property on Pye Road, 15B Pye Road. And they called me and they go, hey, Josh, did you really get $785 for a 3-bed duplex? This is back in 2017.
Okay.
And I said, yeah, I did. I said, sold it in 5 days. We had 20 people come, 19 people missed out. If the price is right, would you sell? His name was Nick at the time. He works in real estate, funny, in Queensland. And he goes, mate, you get me a similar price, I'll sell. Listed that property, sold it. The next day, got a call. Or next week, I got a call from a property on Roxby Grove in Quakers Hill. 9A Roxby Grove. And they called me and they go, his name was Jason and her name was Josephine. And she goes, hey, Josh, did you really sell that duplex for $785? Like, that result is just abnormal. And I said, yeah. And I backed it up with Pye Road. Do you want to sell as well? And she goes, absolutely. Guess what? Set the suburb record with hers at 790,000. I betted the Ohio result. And then all of a sudden, I started to get traction. All of a sudden, I started to become sort of this duplex specialist. And then a week later, I got a call from a lady on Walker Street in the 169 complex, 1/169. Her name was Stacey McBurney. We're still friends on Facebook. This is going back fucking 9 years ago, right?
Oh, the memory of the numbers and
I
the
can
people.
remember every sale, every person, every price.
How do you do that?
I just obsess myself with it. Like I look at it every day. People scroll Facebook. I scroll realestate.com. So yeah, Stacey McBurney. I got out and I go to the appraisal, and it was in Quakers Hill again. And then Stacey, she says to me, she's like, "I've got another agent coming in like 10 minutes. You know, you got to be quick." I run down there. The agent's already inside. He's gone in early. So I'm waiting around the side at the electrical box. This agent's in there for an hour, and I'm just there like a dickhead, standing on the side waiting for my opportunity. and then he leaves, the other agent. Yeah. I don't say anything negative, and I walk in and I go, "Okay, so what did the other agent offer you?" And she goes, "He offered me X, Y, Z." I go, "Great. I'm going to offer X, Y, Z. This is why you need me." I go, "Why are you selling?" She goes, "I'm selling to get a swimming pool in my new place." I said, "Fantastic." I said, "I'm going to get you that swimming pool and more." She wanted 580 or something. We sold it above $600,000. So all of a sudden, within a month, I sold 6 massive results. Duplexes, townhouses, and then I finally got a call for a house. It was number 6 Verna Place in Quakers Hill. Tony Papa, his name was. And he goes to me, he goes, "Josh, you know, I've been renovating it for years. Got your letterbox drop." He goes, "There's other agents that want it." He goes, "But you're hungry. I'm Italian. You're Italian." He goes, "It's yours, buddy." I go, "What do you want, Tony?" He goes, $900,000. This is when, mate, properties weren't selling for $900 in Quakers Hill. I come in 1 week, sell it, $960,000.
How?
Good energy, presented well. We got it styled. I closed on the spot, and I just negotiated hard. I remember doing it like 12 o'clock at night. Like I remember I was in my mum's study room at my old house, and I'm in the study, and this buyer's at 950, and I was calling him up saying, "Mate, 960 really gets the deal done. That extra 10K is going to make a difference." Of course, we work for the vendor. Our job's to get the best result. So I was back and forth with this guy for ages, and he ended up paying 960. And then I got a call in the next day, 27 Sapphire Circuit, Kim and Darren, and they go, "Did you sell that for 960? I go, "You bet I did." Guess what? Sold their property on Sapphire Circuit for $925,000. So all of a sudden, this traction I built. Now, one thing I did, and this was I was very, I suppose, in my mind, as soon as I had sales, I wanted to build traction. How do you build traction? I used to write down on a piece of paper what my competitors do and what they're not doing. What they were doing was, mate, they were knocking into the ground the Corflu signs and drilling them in. I said, "Fuck that, mate. I want to do professional signboards." It's an absolute minimum now, but mate, almost 10 years ago in my area.
Oh, you're talking
like
mate,
with my face.
Pickets.
Of course. Mate, I wanted to put a signboard with my face on it, which the company had never done. And I remember I sat down with my ex-principal at the time, and I said to him, I said, "Mate, for me to get started, I need some leeway of about 10 grand. I need like a loan of 10 grand, and I need to market myself hard." And he laughs, Aussie guy, and he goes, "Mate, if this doesn't work, like you're out." And I go, "No problem." I said, "Mate, I need to give this a good crack." So what I did was I started to market myself on professional signboards. I had my own sold stickers, letterbox drops. Mate, I was letterbox dropping 4 hours a day. I was putting out 1,000 a day. Of course. Had no assistant. So I was doing letterbox drops. I was doing signboards. I started to do property videos. No one did property videos back in the day, 10 years ago. And I used to be out the front. "Hi, it's Josh Tesolin from so-and-so real estate. I've just listed this property." Then I was one of the first people to start actively boosting on Facebook in real estate. No one used Facebook. Everyone was like, it's a social app. They put a boost button on there. Mate, I was spending every cent of my pay. I'll never forget. This would have been 2018 or 19. And I probably made a com check of like 15 grand. I was on the worst split ever in real estate. Anyway, besides the point, I was grateful for what I had, the opportunity. And I made about 15 grand net. And I was thinking, man,
yearly?
No, 15 grand net that month.
Oh, that month?
Yeah, no, that month, man.
Okay.
And I was thinking, I'm a fucking baller, man. Like 21 years of age, 15 grand, mate. Doubt me now. Anyway, I used all that 15 grand on marketing. And my principal came up to me at the time and he goes, "Josh," he goes, "Mate, you're stupid." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Mate, you've made 15 grand and you've just spent 15 grand. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Mate, I'm the smartest one here." And he goes, "How?" And I go, "Well, you don't see the future, mate. I'm investing in myself now for the future. People are going to know who I am with more marketing, more boards, more videos, more drops." I said, This is how I'm going to get to the number one agent in Australia one day, mate. And he goes, it just doesn't make sense. He goes, you make 15 grand, you pocket 15 grand, you go again. I said, no, I spend 15 grand. I'm going to spend 15 grand on self-marketing, anything that I made. And I had very low expenses. Like in my phone, it's so funny. I'll read it out to you, right? Yeah. I still keep it on my notes. I had a budget on my phone. It is the funniest budget you'll ever see in your life.
All right, get it for us.
Mate, here we go. Watch this. So it's budget 2016. So my pay, this is in 2016, my pay was $619 a week. My expenses were $60 for petrol. Phone bill, $100 per month, so $25 a week. The insurance for my car at the time was $82 a month, so about $20 a week. I always have done charities, me and my mum. My mum's a scripture teacher as well. So I had a World Vision charity of $60 per month, which was $15 a week. And my RTA and my green slip was $85 per month, $20 a week. So it's got here, my pay clear a week after all my expenses was $470. And then I've got here, if I ever wanted to go out to a nightclub, like I used to put here $50 for entry and one drink. And I've got here, I wanted to save up 30 grand in a year for self-marketing. So I had to save $350 a week. My comm per month, I was getting $1,500 at that time. So that was 18 grand a year. And I was hoping to save 30 grand. That was my goal.
That's absolutely phenomenal. I think the recall of people and numbers, I haven't seen that in a real... I'm yet to see a person like that. I'm sitting here with I'm just sitting here in shock.
I could give you 1,000. I reckon I've sold 300 houses for the last 5 to 6 years every year. And before that, I was selling over 100. I reckon I've probably sold 2,500 to 3,000 houses. I reckon I could recite probably 90% of the vendor's name, number, kid's name, what it sold for, and what month.
And is that purely just from what? A frequency
Memory, frequency, obsessing myself with it. And it works really well when you're in the listing appointment and they go, do you remember you met me in 2017? I said, absolutely. Met you. I remember I had this other guy the other day and I go, mate, your mum was with you. She negotiated on your behalf. The settlement period was 3 weeks you needed to move in and you're a police officer. He goes, what the fuck? And I go, yeah, mate, just like yesterday. Good to see you again, brother. And then it's that commonality and it's that, I suppose, memory, and you're not just a number to people. When you recognize who they are or see them at an open home and you say their first name, people are shocked. And that's always just been, not a superpower, but I've just got really good memory retention.
I've got a question for you though.
Yep.
Those first couple of listings, and it's obvious to sort of see how trajectory after that, but... A common person's probably thinking, look, any agent can present it well, get good photos, and maybe get it styled. So how do you actually get the record there? Your experience is low. Negotiation,
very low. Not high. Skills were very low at that point, going back 10 years.
So how on earth?
How did I do it? Great idea. So what I did was I went through the whole database of 6 months and I spoke to every single person, as many as I could that would answer and connect with me. And I called them up from other properties, the 40 or so that they sold the company that I was with that year. And I said, hey guys, I've got a property. You need to be there. I cold called all the buyers and I said, you need to be there. This is the best 3-bed duplex, 2 living areas, gorgeous kitchen. It's going to be sold this weekend. Presumptuous close, like they're going to miss out, like an expressions of interest. It's selling this weekend. You need to be there. At the first open home, I think it was 20 groups, which was great. At the time, we were averaging 4 to 5. So I did the numbers in terms of I got people to the house. Yep. That was the key. When you have a whole house packed with 20 people, 20 check-ins, let's say they bring, sister, brother, it's a couple. They've got 4 or 5 people. That house had 100 people. I strategically did an open home of 20 minutes as well. So I didn't drag it out to 30 or 40 minutes. I did a 20-minute interval. So it was like a speed open home. So I had 100 people for 20 minutes at one time, and I was purposely speaking loud. What's the most common question buyers ask at open homes? They say, oh, Josh, how do I make an offer? Will the owner sell today? And I was going, mate, I was purposely speaking loud. Mate, we're selling today. If you want it, I'm going to text you right now. I need your offer by 2 o'clock. I was creating mass urgency. So all of a sudden, I had this extreme energy. I was wearing the most ridiculous pinstripe suit at the time with donuts on my socks. I had the shiniest shoes you could have ever bought in the world. I was memorable in what I was wearing, making myself outstanding, looking like a dickhead. I was very loud. I had good competition in the house. I had buyers that liked the property, and I was amplifying. Yep, you like it? Beautiful. They also like it, so I'll be with you in 2 minutes. I need an offer today, and I was creating that sense of urgency. And then when it came to the buyer, the guy goes, you know what, mate? I love your urgency. The guy who bought it, he goes, his name was Brendan. He goes, love your urgency. His wife was Kate as well. And he goes, Brendan and Kate. Yeah. I even know their last name, but I won't say it.
Yeah, of course.
He's a copper as well. And he goes, mate, I love how you want to do the deal because I want to do the deal, mate. And I said, meet me in the office, let's do the deal. And I remember his first offer was saying like $750, and that was the record at the time. And I remember going back to him and saying, mate, look, it's the first week on the market. For the owners to transact today, it's probably got to be above $780,000. And he goes, come to the office, let's talk face to face. I sat down with him. He goes, no bullshit, what gets the house? I said, $785 on a contract now, deposit paid, it's yours. He goes, love your straight up mentality, done.
Wow.
Went to the owner, $785. They were shocked. And as I said, it all started with one. I got one, I got a second, I got a third, I got a fourth, and then it snowballed. My first year in real estate, I remember, so Tom Panos, he's within the industry, right?
Yep.
Industry trainer, Tommy Panos. And I used to watch all these videos. 2018 hit. I sent him a message on Instagram. Yeah. And I said, hey, Tom, I want to get on your podcast, man. It was called the $1 Million Agent Podcast in the real estate gym. I said, I want to be on that podcast, man. And he goes, he never replied. And then he messaged me back one day and just like liked it. He had thousands of followers. And then by coincidence, I went to the Australian Real Estate Conference, which is ARIC.
Yep.
2018.
It's coming up. It's coming up.
Like 10 days.
Yep.
I'm not going. But, you know, it's a good conference for all young agents to go. I've got some stuff to deal with here. My team and selling and market's a bit tough at the moment. Anyway, I'm in the Virgin Lounge with my old principal at the time, going to ARIC for the first time, and I see Tom. He's like getting soup, and he's at the bar getting some soup and bread, and he just finished auctions. It looked like in his suit, and I go, "Hey Tom, I'm Josh," and he goes, "Who?" I go, "Mate, Josh. My name's Josh Tesolin." And he goes, "Okay, like how can I help you?" And I interrupted him. You could see he was visibly, you know, like, "What the fuck's this kid coming up to me? Leave me alone. I'm getting on a flight." And I go, "Tom, I'm going to write $1 million, and if I do, I want to be on your podcast." Tom doesn't say anything. He just gives me his phone with his Instagram and goes, "Put your handle in." And I go, "I messaged you last week." He goes, "I get plenty of messages. Put your handle in." I followed myself on his phone, and then I obviously already followed him. And then he goes, "Tell me when you write $1 million, I'll get you on my podcast." That whole year, I committed to writing $1 million. No one was going to stop me. No assistant, no admin. It was just office help at the time. And I remember that first year, I sold 71 houses.
Is this with the same agency?
Yep.
Still same agency?
Yeah, I was with them until 2020.
Okay.
So I was with them from 2014 or 13 to 2020. I was there for like 7 years. Anyway, I said to Tom, I go, "Write $1 million, you get me on your podcast." He goes, "Do $1 million, get you on." First year, standalone sales, I did 71 transactions, which was $1.18 million in comp.
Wow.
And he got me in his podcast.
With no team?
No team, brother. When I say no team, no assistant, I was doing all the finals and the bullshit. They were, you know, inputting all the stuff to the computer. It was just office admin help.
By that time, you've got what, 4 or 5 years experience?
Rentals was 2. It was probably about 3 going on 4 years. Yeah.
And how do you manage 71? How did you build to 71 sales or 70 odd sales? You know, that's momentum. More than one a week.
Yeah, bro, momentum, man. Like as I said, I sold one, I sold a second, I sold a third. A big way of generating listings. The market wasn't great in 2018. It was a tough market.
Yeah.
Withdrawn listings, man. And I still get them today. Like I was the hungriest one. A signboard would go down from one agent. My board would go up the next day. I was on the door, not talking shit about other agents. I never talk shit, ever. I don't need to. I don't want to. It's just not me as a person. I was on the door and I was door knocking them. And I'd say, "Hey guys, you know, my name's Josh. You were on the market. I've got nothing bad to say. Do you mind me asking, why didn't it sell?" And they go, "Oh, you know, the agent couldn't get my price." And they go, and I would say, "Well, if I got your price, would you be happy to, you know, now you're off the market, would you be happy to give it a go again? Would you be happy to, you know, give me a shot?" And they go, well, what's your success? And then I'd start to rattle off. Well, I sold the duplex there, and I sold Verna Place, and I've sold Sapphire and Walker. This is my credentials. I'm going to work 7 days a week. No one's going to outwork me. If there's an offer at 12 o'clock at night, I'm going to be at your doorstep, and I'm going to bring you an offer to get sold. That's my commitment. And then I started to get a lot of the withdrawn listings. I reckon my first year, out of the 71, probably 30 to 35 were expired listings.
Is it?
So an expired listing is someone who failed to sell it. They're out of agency agreement. They go with a new agent, and then I sell it.
And you're beating that price, or what's the...
Well, I was getting them sold. Like I had one, I'll never forget, on Talbot Avenue in Quakers Hill, was on the market with another agency, didn't sell. His name was Ash Chabra. Door knocked his house. I said, hey, Ash. I said, I want to sell your house, mate. And he goes, I need a certain price. I need $750. And he goes, how are you going to do it? I said, I'm going to do a fancy video. I had like a lawn mower at the time, and I'm in the video with the lawn mower showing how nice the grass is and just doing stupid shit to be memorable. And then 2 weeks on the market, got an offer from a lady. She goes, I've just come to Australia. It's my first week. And she goes, this is the first house I've seen. I said, great. Do you like it? She goes, love it. I go, why do you need to see a second house? Why confuse yourself? Analysis causes paralysis, love. I said, don't paralyze yourself.
Spoken like a great real estate agent.
I said, analysis causes paralysis. I said, do you like the house? She goes, I like the house. I said, let's do a deal. Make me an offer. Made me an offer of 7. We were back and forth. I was at my mum's house on the staircase. Remember it vividly. I sent her a text and I said to the buyer, I said, 750,000 gets the house today. You get to own a home in Australia. There's great growth in the area. I sent her examples of how much had gone up in the last 5 years. And I said, I can see you living there. I know you like it. Send me back an offer of 750 and we'll sign tonight. 2 hours later, she texts me. She goes, I love your attitude, love your positivity. And she goes, I'll buy it at 750. She bought it. But that was my story. And then the next person who was withdrawn, I'd go to them and say, well, this property on Talbot Avenue, I ended up selling it after another agent was unsuccessful. I came in, new energy, new strategy, good video, great negotiation, worked 7 days a week, got the deal done at almost midnight. This is why you need me. It worked for them. It'll work for you. Like on the market at the moment, I've probably got 40 bits of stock. I reckon withdrawns probably 10. This week going to auction, I've got 8. 3 of them are withdrawn from other agents. So it's never left me. Like I always like to prove myself that A, I'm a better agent, B, I can get a result, and C, they should have probably chose me for the first time.
What do you? I mean, not that they're listening, but what are you doing differently compared to those other agents?
Back then, I just had great energy. I do open homes every day. I worked 7 days. I worked Sundays
for the house.
Yeah, man.
That house has open homes every day.
Still do it now. 7 days a week, brother.
Wow.
If you own a house that's not tenanted, tenants don't allow access every single day. Yeah. Legally, we're allowed to have reasonable access twice a week. But if you're a homeowner or the house is empty, if you go on my website now, raywhite.com or Real Estate or Domain, I've got open homes every single night from 4 to 8 o'clock for every property that we're allowed to open every day.
Jesus.
So we show the home more. What does that do? Brings more buyers. We market the home more. We have my social media, when no one was boosting, I was probably getting 10 new followers a week. And then all of a sudden I started to get 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. I think I'm on like 20,000 or whatever. Not that I count followers, but they're in my local community. And a lot of those are buyers as well. So the positivity of having buyers on your socials, if I'm not capturing them on REA, Domain, a signboard, a letterbox drop, my database text message, they're probably going to see it on socials. So I just did more of a well-rounded marketing campaign to capture the buyer. And then I would be very good from a leverage point. I'd sell a 4-bed. I'd go to all the neighbors and say, I just sold this. These people are looking. I'd bring the open for inspection list with their details, not bullshitting saying, I've got a buyer. Where's the buyer? I'd physically print out the open home sheet and say, here's 20 names and numbers of all the people that inspected it. I can't leave it with you for privacy reasons, but here's the physical evidence of the people. That got 750. If you got the right price, would you sell? And I would pick up so much business. People would say, you bring the underbidder here, I'll sell. Bang, I'd be in more doors, left, right, and center.
Where did you get the ideas for the strategy and stuff around there with being crazy, being out there, the suit, the funny shit?
I just want it to be memorable. Good story that I don't really share a lot in podcasts.
Oh, here we go.
That people wouldn't know. I won't name who they are, but I was working at the company that I was at for many years, and then I went through a breakup with my partner at the time, my girlfriend, and then when you go through a breakup and you're young, it was my first serious girlfriend, you know, it sort of messes with you psychologically. Like you start to think, okay, I've lost my girlfriend, I might as well just change jobs and distract myself and create a new life for myself. So what I did, I went for an auction in Quakers Hill one day, and there was no auctions at this time in Quakers Hill. No one did auctions. Everything was private sale and negotiation. And I saw this auctioneer, and that the property ended up selling. It was on Zebra Place in Quakers Hill. It ended up selling for $995,000 or whatever. And I remember seeing the auction. I was like, wow, like that was really good. Like there was unmatched competition, lots of bids, lots of emotion. And I thought, we don't do auctions at my current office. Fuck it, I'm going to join an auction office. So I went to an office in Liverpool.
Oof.
From Quakers Hill, the Shire, to Liverpool, an hour away. I left due to the fact that I wanted a distraction from a breakup. I didn't have the skills to be an auction agent because my office didn't do auctions. And I thought my life is not going well at this point in time. I've got listings and a bit of sales. And this was 2016 or 17. I was like, I just got to go.
Yep.
So I quit my job and then worked at this other office. I worked there for 2 weeks. It was a father-son. Nice guys. And what they taught me in those 2 weeks. So there was stuff that I didn't like that they did that I just didn't align with. They just did certain stuff that just wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. But there was other stuff that I learned. And I remember asking them, I was a sponge. I said, man, like, why do you stand out? And they go...
So you picked them because they were really good at auctions?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, saw their boards around. My parents had a shop at that time around Liverpool. And I thought to myself... It was in Warwick Farm, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to go with them. They look like a young bunch. They had a Rolex, nice Mercedes. They were on socials, good boards around. I thought, fuck, they're doing something right. Worked there for 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, I asked them, I said, what makes you stand out? And they go, first thing, you got to be memorable. I go, what do you mean? They go, wear a sharp suit, look good, wear fancy socks, stand out from the crowd, the shiniest shoes possible. Because when people just walk in with a tie and an average fucking industry suit, you're not memorable. They go, be memorable. And I remember thinking to myself, I was like, okay. I went to the shops that night, bought the best suit I could with the $1,000 in my account, wore the shiniest shoes you could have ever bought. I always wear ridiculous socks. I think today I've got Doritos on. It's just an icebreaker. I get to the door, I always offer, would you like me to take my shoes off? And they go, yes or no, whatever it is. And I always say the same thing. I wore my best socks. They look at my socks and think, Josh Tesolin sells the most houses in this area, and he's wearing fucking pink flamingos on his socks. He mustn't take himself too seriously. And I don't. I'm a very, as I said, just normal average Joe, man.
Yeah.
And as I said, I always, like during that time in the 2 weeks that I was at that company, you know, they taught me how to close, how to self-market myself. They were like, don't leave the listing without the listing. Like, you're there to list the property. And we used to have a saying, it's either agency agreement or AVO. Like, you're getting one of them. Like, push hard enough that you're getting something. Not literally an AVO, of course.
Yeah.
But that was, like, be ruthless to get the business. You're there to pitch, sell yourself, get the business. And, they in those 2 weeks, I probably learnt more in those 2 weeks than I ever had in real estate. And then I ended up leaving because I didn't like the travel and the culture in that office. They spoke sort of a different language, and they were a boutique office, and I already came from a boutique office. And then my old boss called up my mum, Annette, and he goes, hey, Annette, he goes, would Josh consider coming back? Like, he's been gone for a couple of weeks. Would he consider coming back? And then Annette's like, funny enough, he's learned a lot where he is, but he's probably ready to come back. He misses that area. And would you take him back? And he goes, tell him to come in for another interview at my old office again. So I went in after 3 weeks. And then he goes, mate, come back. And I said, I'll come back on one condition. I said, I'm going to wear this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to market myself. And I need you to back me. And he goes, I'll back you for a month. And if it works, great. And that's when he gave me that sort of 10 grand loan. And rest was history. I just went nuts. I blew up.
What about, you talk about a time where you had, very little to your name or to your, in your account. Was that at those sorts of,
bro,
at those
nothing.
stages?
Man, had nothing. Borrowed 10 grand from my mum, borrowed 10 grand from my boss. Anywhere I could borrow money to market myself, I did it. And I earned nothing for years. I just earned the bare minimum, $626 $470 clear in my pocket a week, because I knew that I had to invest in myself early. And if I did that, more people would know me. And if more people liked me or didn't like me and they wanted to sell their house, one of the first people on the shopping list was going to be Josh Tesolin. And I knew I could close, and I knew I had evidence to back it up. I knew my skills. I knew my energy was different, and I knew I'd outwork everybody. And I still do to this day.
One thing you touched on there that's interesting is you said some people like me, some people hate me.
Yeah.
Obviously, really, you fit the brief, you fit the stereotype, real estate
man.
agent that's out there, extroverted.
Yeah.
You're wearing the roller, you got the suits. But how do you deal with the people that maybe don't like you? What's your approach to that?
You know what, man? A lion doesn't listen to the opinion of a sheep. At the end of the day, I'm not everyone's cup of tea, man. Like, I'll go into a listing appointment and they might be elderly or a different nationality, and they'll upfront tell me, look, Josh, like, we're not connecting. And I'll go, no problem, guys. I wish you all the best with the next agent. At the end of the day, Australia, it's unfortunate, but it's the truth of what this country is. There's a lot of tall poppy syndrome, man. It's just prevalent throughout. When someone's doing really well and someone's got a lot of success, they look to cut you down. And at the end of the day, you know, I don't take what people say about me literally and seriously, because they don't know me. They don't sit down with me. They don't work with me. They don't know my family values. They don't know what I'm about. They don't know what I give back to my staff. And they don't know me as a human being. You know, real estate agents are the easiest people to shit on. Like we're
probably true, yeah.
we're the only industry really in the world that publicly announce what we earn.
Yeah.
Publicly. I earned 10 million last year. I did 11 million last year. That's just our industry. It's weird. We earn more than brain surgeons, man. Like, that's crazy stuff.
It is silly.
We get paid. Now, look, are we curing cancer? No. But are we helping people? For sure. You know, we're helping people in their life, death, divorce. You know, there's a lot of things, upsizing, downsizing. People need us in the transaction. And we owe it to our clients to work as much as we can and exhaust every marketing avenue and negotiate every single cent for them. Commonly, my sale prices on realestate.com, you know, have an extra $500, $888, whatever it is. We're exhausting every cent we can for the owner. That's our job. We'll treat the buyer with the most respect possible, but our job is to work for the vendor. So, yeah, in terms of people not liking me, I would be concerned if my mum turned around and said, I don't like you, Josh, or my wife, or my son, or my closest confidants. Yeah. But, you know, those people love me. I've got a very small circle, and despite what people say about me, I've always had this mentality as well. People who say things about you, whether it's good or bad, they're talking about me.
It's true.
Good or bad, man. And if there's truth in the bad, prove it. There's a lot of good. Like, people say, oh, you know, I saw a negative review about you the other day. And I said, from an unknown person, anonymous on Google, who's never wrote a review before, you're going to trust that? Or you're going to trust Rate My Agent on realestate.com that are verified reviews, where I've got 2,171 reviews on Rate My Agent and 983 reviews on realestate.com from real verified buyers and sellers. Which one are you going to believe? And in the listing appointment, I'll actively show them. I go, okay, the other agent said this vendor was unhappy. That's funny. Here's the Rate My Agent review. Here's their realestate.com review. Here's their sold by photo. Here's a video testimonial. And you know what we're going to do right now to prove that they're talking shit? We're going to call the vendor right now. And I'll call the vendor on loudspeaker and say, hey, Jefferson, we just sold your house. Another agent said you were unhappy. Is that true, mate? And I'll give it to the vendor, and they can chat to them for as long as they want. Proof. Evidence. Undeniable, man. I have all the evidence. I've got all the proof. No one's going to stop me listing and selling. I love what I do. I've been in real estate for 12, 13 years now. The average agent maybe sells 30, 40 houses a year. I sell 30, 40 houses a month. So I've probably had the experience of an agent being 40 years in the industry, probably within my 10 years. And I've got no intention to stop. As I said, I've got a lovely, beautiful young family. I've got 40 staff members that work with me, property management and sales. And, you know, I love what I do, and haters can say what they want. It's part and parcel of the process. I just focus on the people that need me, want me, love me. They're in my corner, and that's what matters.
One thing I'm interested to hear, as you touched on, you got a team of 40 now, but like, when do you make the transition to Ray White and you go out on your own? Because huge step.
Yeah, man. So I was sort of forced. I was looking to go out on my own. Like, I had branding being made up of the Tesolin group in 2020 and 2019. I was shopping around, met with John McGrath a few times, Ray White, met with LJ Hooker, met with just a couple of local, you know, franchises. And when you're how old was I? 24 at the time. I was a very nervous 24-year-old to make that step.
Yeah. How old are you now?
30, man. Old boy. Just turned 30 last month, April.
Jeez.
But when this all happened, I was 23, 24. And then I was looking for which franchise do I go, which is going to align best with me. And I was essentially I was big on. So I won number 1 in Australia on Rate My Agent in 2017. Not 2017. Was it 2018 or 19? One of the two. And I wanted to win it again. That was my goal. Because when I worked in a boutique office, I didn't have industry awards. There was in Ray White, they celebrate Ray White's top agents. In McGrath, it's McGrath's top agents. In this boutique office with 2 offices, there was no top agent.
Yeah, true.
I had no.
I mean, you would have been it, but
fucking oath every month. I had no recognition, and I wanted that to prove to myself. I wanted to work towards something. So I was committed to do one more year at this company I was at, and I remember it was the end of financial year, coming up to the 5-year anniversary, and me and my bosses at this time, we weren't really aligning. They were doing things that I didn't agree with. They were uploading to their Facebook site. They were uploading all my sales, saying that they sold them. And I sold them. They didn't give me any recognition. And then I would retaliate back, and I ordered extra large sold stickers, and I would cover their logo on purpose.
Yeah.
I would do things like that. It was just and I never came in. It was during COVID. I never came into the office. I was just working from home pretty much. And I never said hello to my boss for months. He never said hello to me. We were almost worst enemies. We were competing against each other in listing appointments. It wasn't a healthy environment. It was super toxic back then. They've since closed down and moved on. So all the best to them. But yeah, I sat down. It would have been around June 30-ish, 2020. And I sat down, and I was supposed to sign a new agreement, like a contractor's agreement, where I was going to be on a higher split, but be an independent contractor. Sat down, and I thought I was coming in for a meeting to sign that off. And in my mind, I was going to stay there another probably 6-12 months because I wanted to win number 1 again for Rate My Agent. That was the only award I could win. And then the lady said to me, the wife of the boss, who was one of the directors there, she goes, Josh, just letting you know, we're not going to be signing the contractor's agreement. We've decided to terminate your employment.
Wow.
I said, okay. I said, no problem. And she goes, oh, you're taking this super well. And I go, well, what's there not to take well? You've decided you don't want to work together anymore. I said, with the most respect, I respect your decision. It's all good. And she goes, I'm so surprised how well you're taking it. And I go, well, what is there not to take? You've made your decision. I said, it's just fast-tracked what I'm going to do. And then I'll never forget. I remember I said, the guy who hired me, your husband, I said, he's out there. I said, if he wants to terminate me, I want to hear it from him too. And he comes there and he's all slouched over and he's baggy pants and shit. And
is this in person? Or?
Yeah, face to face. Yeah, in the lunchroom. And he goes, oh, mate, yeah, you're gone, you're sacked. I go, no problem. And he goes, and then she said, his wife goes, we're going to be competing against each other out there, just letting you know that. And I said, I'm letting you know that I'm not leaving the area. And I'm letting you know that you're not going to beat me. And he goes, oh, we'll see. And I go, you will see, because I'm going to market hard, I'm going to work harder, and I'm going to absolutely fly now that I've been
You say they've shut down now?
Gone.
Okay. Are they still in real estate or not?
Oh, maybe. He's been at a couple of offices since.
Okay.
He sold his rent roll, and who knows? All the best to him. You know what? I thank him for the shot that he gave me when I was a real estate agent that no one would take on. He gave me a crack. Despite our personal, I don't like him. I don't even think about him. He still posts on social media talking shit about me and posting community pages, and he just won't let it go. It was 5 years ago, man. Move on. But I've moved on. It is what it is. But yeah, 2020 came. I was sacked. I was on the shelf for about 2 weeks, and then Ray White sat me down. And Tim Snell, he was the head recruiter at the time. He's now New South Wales CEO. Andrew McCulloch at the time was the CEO. And then Dan White and Brian White, the White family.
Wow. In
a big boardroom. And they go, what do you want? I go, well, this is probably unexpected. I got sacked, and I just bought an Audi R8. And I just bought a house 2 weeks ago in Schofields. And I've got all these fucking mortgages coming out of my ass. And I didn't prepare for this. So, and they go, what do you want? And I name what I wanted. I said, I can't afford a shop fit out. I can't afford this. I can't afford that. I said, if I'm going to work, I'm going to need this. I said, I've got no staff. I said, I've got one associate that I promised is coming with me. I said, I can't pay his wages. And I said, I want to bring on my mum as the general manager and, my wife, Sophia, as my admin. I said, I've got 4 people to feed. I don't have money, man. Anyway, we worked out a deal, and they gave me basically everything I wanted, and they invested in me at the time. And I remember Dan said to me, he goes, you're the youngest sole business owner ever in my network. At 24. Youngest soul. There was no partner, no partnership, no Ray White earned a clip. It was Josh Tesolin owned his own office at 24 years of age. And he goes, I'm going to give it to you. And I remember the first time, so I promised Dan, my dad, he's very much like me. I went for like a recognition event at Dan's house, and my dad went up to Dan White and he goes, I'm just letting you know my son is going to be the number one agent in your network. I'm just letting you know, my son, Josh, is going to be number one. And Dan sort of laughed and goes,
How long were you into that?
6 months. He goes, my son is going to be the number one in your network. And Dan at his house was sort of laughing. He's like, yeah, one day, 5, 6 years, maybe. It'd be good for Josh. We'd love Josh to win it. I won it the next year.
Wow, that quick?
Fucking oath, mate. My first full financial year was not a full financial year because I joined in June.
Yeah.
And the awards start in June, but they've got settlements from the year before. So it goes based on settlements.
Yep.
So
settlement dates.
Exactly.
Okay,
so if you sell something in June, but it settles in July, it counts for the next financial year. So I started with nothing. So that first year I won. So when we say number one, this is a contentious thing, right?
Oh, because there's,
What's number one? How many you sell? How much money you earn? How many your office does? What is number one? What is the true algorithm for number one? Like they've got 1,000 different categories. Number one to me is the person who makes the most money. Like if you're the number one commission writer in the network, it means you're earning the most money. You can sell 400 houses and make $3 million. I'd rather sell 200 houses and earn $10 million. Like it's who earns the most. That's the number one agent in any network.
Yeah.
People who claim they're number one based on sales. Yeah, you're number one based on sales, but it's very easy to fraudulate those numbers. I can tell you right now.
Why?
Mate, you have 2-3 sales agents that sell 50 a year. You take a clip of 20 and put it under yours. I've never done it. There's not one person who's ever worked for me or worked with me in the past that can ever say I'm a person based on if I sell 300 houses, I sold 300 houses.
Personally.
Of course. But there's other agents out there that you look at their realestate.com profile and it says they sold 150. But on our Ray White system, it says they sold 250. Where's the extra 100 come from? They've taken a clip from their sales agents.
Yeah, okay.
So their numbers look better.
Yep.
That's what happens. It's industry known. In all awards, that happens.
Oh, in mortgage broking, it's terrible too.
Terrible.
I feel like every mortgage broker is the number one.
Every mortgage broker is number one, and they've written this many loans, and they've done this much. Back to awards. The number one for me was gross commission income or net commission. And 2020, I joined the network in 2020. My first financial year was basically 21, 22. Won the whole thing.
Won it in, but how? How?
How?
Is my question.
When I was out alone, it's a beautiful thing when you go out on your own. It's sink or swim. It's no one else is going to wipe me. No one else is going to help me. It's you're out on your own. It's kill or be killed. And I always said to myself, when I go out on my own, I'm going to work double the hours I was. I was maybe working 8 to 10 hours a day. I was working up to 16, 17 hours a day. I wasn't sleeping, and I was young enough to do it. And I remember I just outworked everybody. Every listing counted. I got a video on my phone. The first listing I ever signed up with Ray White. So I signed a deed of release from my old office that morning, made an announcement on Tom Panos' Real Estate, the Jimmer County's live Facebook broadcast announcing that I joined Ray White. That night, I did that at 2 o'clock. At 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, I went into my first appraisal, signed it, and I do a video, and it's crazy. Like I'm yelling. I'm like, I'm back. Josh Tesolin, first listing at Ray White. You know what it is, baby. Like I lose it. I lose it on this clip. Like I'm so fucking pumped that I'm back. Yeah. That first listing signed, turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. I listed in my first month 25, 26, which was okay. Now I list 30 to 40 a month with my eyes closed. It's just what I do, man. So how did I do it in that first financial year? A lot of the call-ins at my old office, they'd brand the office number a lot. So they'd be calling the office, and my old principal would take a lot of those leads. Now, I was branding just my mobile number, and it was coming all to me.
Yeah, okay.
Now, one thing that a lot of people don't know is when I started Ray White, I started with nothing. I had my phone was a work phone at my last company. They took that phone. They took the number, took the phone, took the database, took everything.
Wow. Can you make a copy of that?
Nah. Well, if you do, it's intellectual property and it's not the right thing to do. When you start a new office, you've got to start from scratch. And if you don't start from scratch, then you have legal implications. So I was actually lucky. They just took the phone. She walked out mid-appointment and goes, "Where's the phone?" to my old assistant. He goes, "There." She took the phone, backed it up to a computer. I never had a chance to copy it. Not that I was going to, but it almost sets you free. Like when you're a new agent in a new company and you've got no database and no mobile number and you lost all the listings that you you had because I was signed up to the company, not to me. And I started on zero. And I remember just taking a deep breath. And I was taking the staff photos for that, like to announce that I joined Ray White with my mum and my wife and my assistant. And I just took a breath and I said, oh, I feel good. Like I'm free. Like I get to start from scratch. And my favorite day of the month is the first day of the month because I get to wipe the listing boards. What happened in April is gone. We're now in May. I sold, 34 houses last month and earned $1.3 million in commission in 30 days. I'm on zero. It's my favorite day of the month. I get to prove it to myself every single day and every single month.
Wow.
Starting from scratch is the best thing ever. I love it. Being on zero is my favorite thing because I get to prove to myself I've got something to work towards.
That is, man,
it's the best.
I'm honestly, I'm lost for words with not only the energy, but how you managed to do it. What sort of, is there any metrics, like, I know sort of briefly how sort of agents work, but in terms of like door knocking or calls or connections, when you're starting off on your own, give me an understanding for how much volume you were doing there.
Brother, you got no listings. You've got to do everything you can do to get a listing. So when I started at Ray White, I was door knocking with my associate. A funny story. We had one open home in Quakers Hill on our first weekend. It was my first listing that I signed up, and we had one open home. We put together and put out, me, my associate Alex at the time, his partner, and my partner Sophia got in 2 cars. We put out 700 corner signs in Quakers Hill.
700?
We went mad. The community groups were up in arms. Who the fuck is this littering our suburb? On every corner, it had a yellow face. Josh Tesolin, my number, open home. We had no fucking open homes in the area, but we had an excuse to put open home signs out. This is going back 5-6 years ago. Yeah. And I remember the next day I had so many calls. Hey, Josh, where's this house for sale? Hey, Josh, is there one for sale on my street? And I go, yeah, potentially coming up soon. And they go, well, that's great because I'm selling as well. That Monday, I reckon I had 10 call-ins. So how I did it was mass marketing. Ray White was really good to me. They helped me out from a funds perspective. But yeah, letterbox drops. I went nuts. I still do it. 10,000 listed, 10,000 sold. Extra large signboards. I'd put 4 signboards on a property. I'd put light up boards. Any way that people could know that Josh Tesolin had joined Ray White, I was going to do it. And I did it. And Ray White, as I said, they backed me a lot. And the investment that they made in me, I gave back twofold. I'm now number one, Ray White. This is going to be the 3rd time in 5 years or 4 financial years. This will be the 3rd time that I'm going to win it. I broke the record 2 times in a row now, the all-time commission record. I've sold the most houses ever in a financial year.
How many?
So the most houses ever sold in a financial year was 370. Yep. GCI record was 7.5 million. Last year, I wrote 8.96. And this financial year, I'm on 9.5 already.
GCI, that's gross?
That's net settled.
Net settled, but like what is your take home after that?
Oh, look, the gross on that. So to do $9 million, you got to plus the GST on top of that. So if I end up doing 10 million, it really means gross I did probably 11.
Okay.
Yeah. So the good thing about the Ray White Awards, and this is one thing that I really like about Ray White, they got a system called Pulse. So this system, you can see what all the other agents are on, how many they sell. It's also the easiest way to see who's cheating because if you've listed 200 houses, but it says you sold 300 houses, where is the extra 100? Like it's so easy to look at it and think, what the fuck? Like all it takes is one sales agent to leave. They leave behind 50 sales. They just change it online and put, oh, yep, I then sold those 50 sales and it goes to their account. So it's hard to, you'd like to think there's honesty on my end. Every number that I've sold, every agreement that I've got, every commission that I've earned is full disclosure. But yeah, other agents, when they can't beat you, they find ulterior methods. But yeah, as I said, Ray White's been really good to me. I've been really good to them. I signed on last year early for another 5 years to stay with that franchise. I speak to Dan and Brian almost every single day. I've got a good relationship with the people high up at the network. And anything they ask of me, I'll do, and vice versa.
How have you went now with, I know you've obviously started to grow your family, but how have you went with that balance now of being sort of like young, hungry, you can absolutely thrash yourself with hours and work that you put in. Are you still doing that now, or is there a balance with?
It's hard, man.
With the young one?
My wife met me when I was like this. I've always been crazy like this. The competitive spirit, wanting to work 7 days, never wanting to lose, never say die attitude. kill or be killed, someone who, loves the win, loves the chase, loves the small wins. I've always been that person. So it's not like my wife knew me when I wasn't that person and then became that person. I'm always, since I was a young age, been this person. So, it's difficult. Look, my son's at an age, he's 18 months. So he's not talking yet. He's not playing soccer yet. He's not going to school. He goes to daycare. I drop him off. But, he's not at the stage of where he's saying, hey, Dad, I want to spend the day with you. When that happens, I think that's going to be very tough to say no. Because your family's different. And that's why whenever people talk shit or people post some dumb fucking shit online or they say a rumor that's not true or say something with no basis or have an opinion and never have met me before and don't know who I am, I look at my son and I think, I do it for him, man. There's bigger things than social media trolls in, their basement talking rubbish. I've got a beautiful son. I've got a beautiful family. Do I see them every single day? I try to in the morning. I come in a little bit later around 10, 11. I try to come home around, 9 o'clock to bath my son, put him to bed, and then I'll go back to work afterwards if I need. My wife comes to auctions with my son Emilio just so he can see his dad do his thing. Yep. And he always points at me and says, Daddy, and always touches the signboard because he knows that's my face. Look, the hours that I'm putting in now, I look at the end goal. What's the end goal?
Yeah, what is it?
What's the end goal? I ask myself that almost every day. I don't want to be working forever. That's the truth. I'm not giving up now. I'm just turned fucking 30. But I see some agents that are 50, 60 still working. And I think to myself, fuck that. Imagine being 50, 60, still coming up against young, hungry people like me and losing every single day. Man, oh my God, I could think of way better things to do with my time. I think I'm going to take up maybe hobbies when I'm older, maybe golf, boats, buy small supercars. That'll be a future thing just so I've got, because I really enjoy those things. What's the end goal? I want to have a team that...
Are you investing in property?
Yeah, man.
You're writing millions a year, man.
I'll dispel this. This is a rumor that I've heard so much of. Josh Tesolin has bought and sold. So he's bought 200 houses and he's flipped them and made a profit and takes advantage of his vendors that want. He tells them it's worth less and he buys it himself and then on-sells it and makes a profit. That's the most ridiculous rumor in the world. I wish I owned fucking 200 properties. Not the case.
Okay.
So that's one thing I can dispel on this right now.
Oh, people are saying that you buy them yourself.
Yeah, buy them off my owners and sell them at a profit.
Ah, good way to make money. Jeez.
It would be a good way to make money, unethical, and I don't do it. So it's one of those things where people say all this shit oh, Josh does this. No, I don't. Have I bought properties off vendors of mine? Absolutely. The first house that I ever bought was in Schofields, and it was at my old company, and I remember I met them. I actually had it sold at $750,000. Young couple bought it. It was over Christmas. They couldn't get the loan for the house. So they said, Josh, we've got to pull out. So they pulled out. And then I thought to myself, I actually lost my driver's license at the time. And I couldn't commute from the Shire to Quakers Hill every day. My mum was working her own job and she couldn't drive me and I couldn't afford the Ubers. So then I said to the owner, I said, Mum, I've got a 5% deposit. I said, I'm going to buy this house. Called the owner. I said, guys, full price. Whatever they paid, I'll pay right now and I'll buy it. Now, in New South Wales, if you purchase a property or have a vested interest in the property as the agent, you've got to sign something called a Section 49. Every single property that I've ever bought from my vendors have had a Section 49. I bought properties from heaps of other agents, over 10 properties that I own and have investments and whatever. If I ever bought one off a vendor, as in, I had one in Quakers Hill. I remember she was a lovely Chinese lady and she goes, I want 1.2. It was on the market 2 weeks. There was no buyers. I wanted an investment at that time. I didn't own one in Quakers Hill. And I go, what do you want? She goes, I want 1.2. I go, done. I paid full asking price, 1.2 million, signed the Section 49, which disclosed I was the agent. She knew I was the agent. She knew I was buying the property. Section 49 signed, no problem. Legally, it's all good.
Yep.
So when people say Josh has bought and sold 200 houses, I wish I had 200 houses. I've actually never, and I'll say it on record, I have never sold a property that I bought. Every property that I bought, I've owned. I've never sold a property that I own.
Kept all of them.
What's
your sort of portfolio size?
Just under 20. Just under 20.
Just under 20. Okay.
Yeah, just under 20. I got a lot. Like I've got 3 granny flats being built at the moment. So yeah, in terms of like the one I bought at Schofield's for $750K back in the day, which was full asking price in 2020 or whatever it was, or 19. That's probably worth 1.2 now, 1.1, 1.2. So I've done well out of a lot of the properties that I bought. There's some that I haven't. Like I own 2 in Brisbane that I bought through buyers agents around sort of the Logan area, Kingston Logan, which is like sort of the Mount Druitt of sort of New South Wales.
When did you get in?
2017, 18.
Okay.
So I bought 2 of those. One of them was a corner block, which I bought in Kingston for like 300 or 400 and something. That's probably worth 800-900.
Yeah, I was going to say that would have been...
That's done really well.
Yeah.
There's one that I bought brand new in Springfield Lakes. Brand new duplex, 4-bed, 2-bath. I got it revalued the other day. Hasn't gone up a cent. It's gone lower than what I bought it for. But that's investing, man. Sometimes you buy the shitter that goes up. You buy the new one that looks fancy that's gone nowhere. Like I bought one in Box Hill in the Gables probably 2 years ago. I bought it for like 1.5 something. Hasn't gone up $1.
House or apartment?
House.
Wow.
Nice house, 400 and whatever block, good builder, single story, double garage across from, a little cows and park across the road. Hasn't gone up a cent. And then I bought one at Kellyville from another agent. I bought it for like 1.3 something. That's probably worth 1.8, 1.9 now. So investing is you learn along the way. Investing is obviously, if you have granny flats, they can be potentially positive geared, negative geared is good for tax. My investment portfolio and my investment strategy is I wanted to have, by the time I retire, enough houses for my age. Like if I retire at 40, I've got 40 houses. I've always had like a goal of that.
That's a way to do it, man.
Yeah, that's like the goal. And I love renovating houses as well. Like me and my wife, we're renovating 2 at the moment. We're putting granny flats, as I said, on 3 of them. We're putting a pool in at one of our others. I'm just trying to, all the products that I sell.
Why are you adding a pool?
You know what? 'Cause it's in Rozelle. I bought it.
Okay.
It's a really, really good street. It was actually my wife's childhood home. So my wife's childhood home was unrenovated, dilapidated, in the worst condition ever. Bought it with a settlement of like a week. It was cash purchase, and we're gutting it. It's like a $1.5 million reno. Putting in a beautiful. I've never put a pool into a house. So I thought to myself, when I go to houses and sell pools, I want to know the process. Is it fiberglass, the coping of the pool, the tile? How deep is it? Is it plunge? I want to know those things. Putting granny flats. I sell a lot of house and granny flats, but I don't necessarily know the process of council approval, CDC approval. So I'm going through all that at the moment. I'm educating myself with my own portfolio. And then I can help clients when they come to me and say, do you reckon I should put a granny flat? How much? 2-bed, 1-bath? What's the approximate cost? I can tell them, well, this is what I paid. This is what I did. This is who I used. I can give more info. Real estate and being a professional is all about information. The more information you can give, the more valuable you are.
It's true. What are you paying, just out of curiosity, granny flats?
Oh, mate, I just approved one the other day. It was a 2-bed, 2-bath, 60 square granny. Nice inclusion. Stone benched a lot. I think it was like 170.
Yeah.
CDC approval, 3 meters from the fence line. Landscaping, getting that done. It's all just an experience.
Yeah.
Everything's an experience. Like you can learn.
You doing them in cash?
No.
Okay.
Not those ones for cash.
Okay.
Tax.
No, but like not getting a loan to.
No, not getting a loan for those. No.
Not as in income.
No.
Like, I mean, they're
going to be rented out professionally through us.
Yeah, rented out professionally.
Yeah, I paid for them cash, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the grannies are all done by me.
Yeah.
As I said, I've diversified my portfolio in a whole heap of different areas.
Mm-hmm.
Some have gone really good. Some have stayed stagnant. Some have gone backwards. Would love to have more houses in the future. The way to do that is just keep making money, keep helping people. And, as I said, if I retire at 40, love to have 40 houses. That has a good ring to it.
That's true. Look, Josh, I appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom, and honestly, a crazy, crazy story. I've sort of been watching from the outside in to see the numbers, the houses, the funky purple suits, all that kind of stuff, man. So it's really good to be able to dig in a little bit more detail. The way we usually wrap these things up, 2 things. One is a golden nugget, a bit of advice that you can sell. Here I am going into real estate mode. You can share to our audience, so it can be anything that you want. And then we ask you, what's a quote you live your life by? So I'll start with the first one. And what's your golden nugget for our audience?
Golden nugget. If you want to be successful at anything, you got to be all in. If you're not all in and you're 50% or 80% or 95%, if you can't truly immerse yourself yourself in something, whether it's sales, whether it's selling. You've got to be balls to the wall. And take it like this. This is the last job I'm ever going to have. And that's how you become successful. My biggest tip for people is if your competitors are working 5 days, work 7 days. Your competitors are going home at 5, you go home at 10. They're doing 1,000 letterbox drops, you do 5,000 letterbox drops. They're doing 1 Facebook video a week, you do fucking 10 Facebook videos a week. Do different, be yourself, be authentic, and fucking go all in. This life is so short. We don't know when we're going to be taken to the big man upstairs. And I don't want to have any regrets on my last day on this earth. I want to say to myself, I gave everything. I tried my fucking best. I've got no regrets. And I failed, but I learnt. So, you got to be all in. That's my biggest takeaway to young people or all people.
Man, I'm ready to run through a brick wall. A lot of that shit you're saying it resonates. And especially going out on your own, all that kind of stuff, which is what I've been doing personally this year. So I appreciate it. And tell me, Josh Tesolin, what's a quote you live your life by?
What is a quote I live my life by? I said that quote before about a lion doesn't listen to the opinion of sheep. That's one. The other one probably is fuck everybody. Like, just fuck everybody. Fuck their opinion. Fuck their weak mind. Fuck them thinking that they're better than me. Fuck them thinking that they're going to put me down. And fuck them thinking that they're going to stop me from being the best real estate agent in the world. I'm unbreakable. I'm unbeatable. I'm unpenetrable. And I'm the best in the world, and I'm going to show it. And at the end of the day, people's opinions don't matter. Don't listen to people's opinions. And as I said, fuck it, fuck everyone, and just be the best you can be.
Man, Josh Tesolin, there's going to be a language warning on this one. But mate, I appreciate you coming on Everything Property Podcast, and all the best. Can't wait to watch you rip back in.
Thank you so much, man. Pleasure. Thank you.